everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a blue-collar wine show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And August 1st, episode 96. I'm getting closer to 100. I got a few ideas on episode 100. One of my friends said, why don't you do a 100-point wine? I said, that's a great idea. Tell me where I can get 100 points Parker, I'm sure that's what he meant. Tell me where I can get one, by the way. I think I have a 98-point Parker wine out in my cellar, which is quite small compared to some people's. But, you know, I'm not a big guy on points from Parker, so I don't know. It's kind of a cool idea. I'm thinking about doing an episode with Mike Sheridan, the dude that I borrowed the wine shop from to shoot some of my videos. I interviewed the winemaker from Walla there. Mike's a funny guy. We kind of hit it off. Thought about that. I've got a couple other ideas. If you have any ideas, let me know. Come in the store, talk to me, or perhaps make a comment down below. What should I do for episode 100? It's kind of epic. 100 episodes. So today starts the second Washington Wine Month. There used to be always in March, and they added August. I used to kind of resist that idea. I thought, how many wine months does a state need? But then I've kind of embraced it. You know, it's here, it's now. People do it, they advertise it. It's a good way for wineries to kind of get out there and be known. Over 800 wineries in Washington State. I'm sure 900 is close at hand, but only like, you know, a small percentage of those produce like 90% of the wine that we consume. So, you know, I mean, it's a big deal. There's a lot of wineries in Washington State, a lot of them that I've never even heard of yet. So, you know, we're going to give it a little respect. We're going to respect Washington Wine Month in August. So we're going to start out with 3 whites from Washington State. All different. First one we're going to do is Three Rivers Winery 2012 Steel Chardonnay, Columbia Valley, rolls in at $13. Steel, of course, means there is no oak on this wine. And Three Rivers, I've really liked them. They do a great Riesling, by the way. Let's see what this one's all about. I'm thinking about doing a blind tasting of Washington something against a California something against Oregon something. Given that a thought or two. By the way, if you're watching and you know where I can get a muscadine, which is a grape I'm thinking it's muscat or muscadel, but they call it muscadine in Georgia. If anybody knows where I can get one of those, I'd appreciate the info. You can email me, let me know. What do we get on the nose with this? So this is unoaked Chardonnay, Columbia Valley. Now, throughout these episodes, I want to just touch on a few of the appellations of Washington State. Columbia Valley is a huge appellation and encompasses several sub-appellations that are now AVAs, that have been declared AVAs. Some of the top ones are Walla, of course. Red Mountain is huge. Horse Heaven Hills. Those are probably like the top 3 underneath the Columbia Valley moniker or AVA. Columbia Valley, in other words, when it says Columbia Valley on it, they can source fruit from several vineyards throughout the appellation of Columbia Valley, which may include Rattlesnake Hills, Yakima Valley. By the way, Yakima Valley is another big appellation with a lot of sub-appellations in its midst. So, let's see what we get on the nose. I get a little bubblegum action. I like a bazooka. Nice little orange blossom meets lemon drop. Not super aromatic. You know, when you don't add oak to a wine, you're depending solely on the grapes. I'm not sure if this stainless steel fermented. Let me see if they have any. Doesn't say anything about whether it's stainless steel fermented or not. Little tangerine coming through. A little bit of apple. So let's see what we get on palate. Nice and dry, crisp. It feels like I kind of bit into a Fuji apple. A little bit of that going on. It's creamy on the palate, and then it finishes with kind of a Fuji apple skin component that comes through. There's definitely white flower blossoms on this. I just get just a hint of lemon, more on the sweeter lemon side coming through the entire wine. The creaminess up front, the first thing that went through my head was it has a touch of ML, or malolactic fermentation, where they changed lactic acid, which is a tartar acid, like a Granny Smith apple, into a malolactic acid, which is more like milk. So, and I'm getting a little pear on the backside, but I have no idea. It could be just the fruit source. They could have had a little ML. I could have done a little more research before the program. I didn't know what I was in for with this wine. This is a good wine. It's a good Chardonnay. It really expresses the Chardonnay fruit in a nice way. There is a little bit of that bubblegum component on the palate. That's not a bad thing. It's just a flavor profile that I'm kind of getting. It's not overpowering. It's just barely there. Creamy up front, dry on the finish, a lot of apple skin, a little bit of pear, that lemon, nice little sweet lemon thing coming through there. It's a nice wine. I like it a lot. It's $13. It represents unoaked Chardonnay in a really nice way. I'm going to go B+ on that one. I think that's a great wine. Let's move on. 2013, Amavi Cellars, Walla Valley, Semillon. This rolls in at $23. Now Semillon, I can remember when I first started in the wine department like a million years ago. Semillon was huge in Washington State. Well, it kind of lost its thunder. A lot of wineries weren't selling it. But Amavi and Lake Hole are two that come to mind. Lake Hole number 41, also based out of Walla Walla, just the outskirts of Walla Walla, make a Semillon. Semillon is the powerhouse of white Bordeaux. Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon are huge. The famous dessert wines of the Grobs down there are from, a lot of them are Botrytis Semillon, where they let the grapes almost rot on the vine. And Semillon is huge in France. Used to be huge in Washington, and a lot of the Bordeaux's white Bordeaux's have Semillon in the mix. So let's see what we get on the nose. So this is I get a little diesel. It's a little funky, which I like. A little fig component coming through. Little challenge. There's not a lot going on the nose here. Sometimes that's just the way wines are. It's not too cold. Yeah, it has almost like a what reminds me of a little funky, kind of stinky petrol thing going on. You get a little bit of grapefruit pith. That's starting to come through now. There's a little bit of grass, almost like more of a drier grass element coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is a nice wine. I mean, that's where you can't, you know, when you're smelling a wine, guys say, well, it's a little stinky. Don't let that scare you. I mean, really, that's us wine geeks, or if you're a wine geek out there, there's probably a lot of you out there. You understand what I'm saying? You know, sometimes the nose, you know, they say don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a wine always by the aromas. Sometimes when you get a little bit of a stinky little funkiness to it, it turns out to be a beautiful wine, as this is an example. This has a lot of fruit on it. I get like a pompelmo, you know, those bigger, fatter, like almost like a citrus grapefruit. The pith part of that, a little bit of the fruit on that. I get a little bit of ripe lemon. A little bit of honey, like just a little bit of that honey flavor, but not sweet like honey, but it's coming through. I get a little bit of a peach, mango thing going on, barely. It's just nice and smooth. It's well integrated. I'm curious about the alcohol in this. Sorry guys, I know you probably go, why does he keep looking for the alcohol? I can't actually read that. But anyway, that aside, Walla Valley, Semillon, fantastic wine. I get some herbal components on the finish, and the finish is fairly long. Yeah, definitely the peach, mango, papaya thing is coming through. Finish is dry. This would be a terrific wine with crab, with butter, lobster, clams, oysters. I mean, this has a nice crossover into all those things. I know it's 23 bucks, but you know, they don't grow a lot of Semyon, so you know the fruit is going to be more expensive because there isn't a lot available. I'm just wondering if this is a state. It doesn't say a state. So they buy it from somebody who's growing Semyon. So, you know, that drives the price up a little bit. It's from Walla, which is, you know, I mean, it's expensive fruit. Probably the two most expensive areas for fruit in Washington would be Walla and Red Mountain. But this is a beautiful wine. I mean, it's lingering on my palate. I get that like a peach, honey, apricot thing going on, but it's dry, which I like a lot. A little bit of tangerine. I'm going to go A on that one. Well-made wine, good balance, beautiful fruit expression, nice and dry, the way a white wine should be. By the way, if I mess up when I'm talking, sometimes I start talking before I think, let me know. If I get something wrong, I want to know, because I want to make sure this is a very informative, accurate wine program. Every once in a while, you know, we all make mistakes. Sometimes it happens. Now let's move on. This guy's great. Trey Bush, love your labels. They're a little jazzy, a little busy, as we say. Sleight of hand sellers. The Magician, Evergreen Vineyards white wine. It is Riesling, which it doesn't say anywhere on the front of the label. You have to look on the back where it says 100% Riesling. Columbia Valley, but Evergreen Vineyards is a very famous Riesling and Chardonnay vineyard owned by the Milbrandt boys. Now check out this label. Think that's busy? Trey Bush, you're crazy, man. It's a Riesling and it rolls in at $18. Now, Washington State, in my opinion, makes some of the best Riesling you can get your hands on, next to Germany, Alsace. Some of the best there is comes from Washington State. And Washington State is also very famous for their Merlots. Let's see what we get on the nose with the sleight of hand Riesling. What I love, a little honey, and it has that really, almost reminds me of fir needles, kind of a pine fir needle thing on the nose, which is very, very typical of Evergreen Vineyards. I just get a tiny hit of petrol, which is something that is very common for good Riesling. Loads of apricots and peaches on this, white flowers. orange blossoms, tangerine. I mean, it's a beautiful nose, which, you know, you expect from a Washington Riesling with just a touch of petrol. This doesn't have as much rubber boot kind of petrol thing as I get on a lot of Riesling. Like the Willow Crest that we tasted in the interview with Julie Brown. That was, I mean, boatloads of petrol on that one. Let's see what we get on the palate. Excuse me. This is a beauty. I mean, this is really a beautiful wine in a lot of ways. A lot of mango, papaya, peaches, a little bit of minerality, which I love. Tangerine, like at the finish, you get this really hit of citrus, white flowers, orange blossom, just amazing, and it lingers for a long time. Almost got like this like little lemon tangerine sorbet thing on the backside. What I really like about this Riesling, it's got good acidity. I mean, it is like razor sharp, clean, good minerality, finishes dry, but it has beautiful fruit. If you're really into Riesling, you're going to love this. The only thing I don't get out of this one is the petrol, which a lot of you are going to like. But this is a beauty. I mean, it is laser sharp on the palate. It's clean, delicious. I'm going to have to go away on that one also. Good job, Trey Bush. 3 Washington wines, Washington Wine Month. I'm not going to do all my episodes on Washington wine, but a huge part of the focus this month will be on the wines from Washington. So I hope you enjoy them. Thanks for watching. Cheers. And here's to keeping the snob out of wine.